All right. Welcome everyone to the final session of the New South Wales Volleyball Referees Association online referee training series held on Mondays and Thursdays during August. The purpose of this series is to be able to focus on refereeing topics and techniques that we believe would benefit referees at all levels, whether those just starting out to those preparing for AYVC or other national events. We've heard from a variety of highly experienced referees in New South Wales, and we conclude the series today with Jayden Norsworthy, who is presenting a deep dive into cases. Jayden is an international beach referee candidate and indoor level 3 referee. Jayden has served on the New South Wales VRA board for the past 3 years and has actively been serving the referee community through referee course management, training and development, and also as chief referee. He's also the tallest member of our board. So over to you, Jayden.
Thank you very much, Sam. First thing I need to let everyone know is tonight will be a bit of interactive with everyone. So I will be calling upon people to be giving responses. Please do not be ashamed if you don't know what to say, or if you feel like if you get the answer wrong. No one is here to judge. This is a learning experience for everyone. So if I ask you, please do your best to respond. But if you're still not up to it, that is okay. I'll ask someone else. But I'm just going to be picking random people who are here. So feel free. And I'm going to try and avoid some of our higher level referees that are on the meeting tonight, because it's more for our newer upcoming participants. So tonight it's a deep dive into the casebook. So for those who don't know, there is a document that you can read, which is the casebook, which outlines a whole variety of scenarios. And I click on it. So tonight we're going to be going through how do we actually use the casebook to further our knowledge, use it as a resource, which it is. Then we'll be going into the actual casebook. I have picked out some scenarios that we'll go through. And then at the end, we'll have a bit of a Q&A for anyone who has any questions at the end. So start off, how do we use the casebook? There's a few different ways. One I do a lot of the time is searching up scenarios that have occurred in my most recent games where I felt I may have got it wrong, may have not quite used the rules correctly, and I wanted to do a bit more research to understand where I may have gone wrong. Did I actually do the right thing? Those kind of weird scenarios. And sometimes people come up and ask you about weird scenarios they've had, and I don't quite know what to do. The casebook is the best resource for you. It's about deepening our knowledge and how to and when to apply rules, because of how it's laid out. It's really good at showing you what we should be doing and which rules to apply. And I find it's always good to test your own knowledge or other people's knowledge of the rules of the whole court, outside the court, and everything else. So to show you, the casebook is essentially formatted exactly like this. So this is one excerpt from the casebook. So in this, I can actually show you with my mouse. So this top new number value is just where it lies inside the casebook. So this is chapter 1, section 13. It's a new addition to the latest casebook. That's all what this new thing's. And then on the left side, it just tells you about the scenario. So for this example, in a match, the team had 2 liberos, each had on a uniform which was different from the other and different from the rest of the team. The question is this permitted? And then you go across with the ruling. Yes, there's no need for each libero to have the same color or design of uniform. In fact, this may be actually help the spectators and the TV commentators to understand the role of each player. Then down the bottom of the ruling, it actually tells you which rule they have applied. So you could then go straight to the rule book and search up rule 19.2, and it will tell you exactly that information. So that's essentially what the casebook is. It's just a giant collection of scenarios that have happened in real life, or weird protocols that people need to follow for you to test your knowledge. So so you can find these later if you go into the casebook, but I have a case here. So this is chapter 2. A team was given incorrect information about which player was to serve. Play continued. This incorrect information was noticed at a later point in the set. What happens now? So the first person I see is Daniel Lee, our most recent Rookie of the Year award receiver. So congratulations, Daniel. But Daniel, reading this scenario, what would you do? Team's been given incorrect information about which player was to serve. Play continued. Daniel's going to type. That's okay. I'll see if I can read your responses. So we'll give Daniel a moment. But for everyone else, just have a think about what would you do? What would you do in this situation? Realize that. Go back to when it was correct. Would anything else happen to the teams? Would you take off points? Would you leave the points as they stood? Is there anything else you would do, Daniel? Points reversed. It's good. I might sidetrack and go, I'll pick on Rachel as well. Rachel, what would you do as a more experienced referee in this weird scenario?
Sorry, I just got to go get my baby.
Oh, that's fair enough. I'll throw it to Sam then and see what Sam reckons he would do in this scenario.
I would explain to the captains, go back to the point of the original request, flip the score back to then, and say it was our mistake. We're going to continue from here. And I believe sanctions in force should remain. So if there's any yellow or red or whatever, they should still remain, but everything else could reverse back. But if it was like the next set, for instance, I probably wouldn't go back to that. Like if the set already ended, we're in the middle of the second set and somehow someone discovered it, I think we would just have to pragmatically play on from there.
Yep. So the actual ruling, the team must revert to as close to the original lineup as possible. So we try and fix them as best we can, or get them exactly as they were. The score is taken back to the point where the wrong information was given. The correct server is allowed to serve. However, the already issued warnings and sanctions remain valid. And then we must record the event on the score sheet. So, clap hands for Daniel for getting it correct, and Sam with his lovely knowledge. So next scenario. So this one, there is a video that goes with it. Unfortunately, I couldn't download it for the slides tonight, but if you want to, you can go back and watch the video. The teams were not ready to play because 5 or 7 members were on court when the first referee was ready to whistle for service. What should have occurred? I'm going to throw this one. Let's have a look. Oh, Mimu's here. All right, Mimu. So you've looked across. You see that there's 5 or 7 players on court, and you want to whistle to serve. What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. As the first referee, I think I should have done my scan, perhaps, and waited for the 6 players to be on court. But I have no idea.
No idea?
Yep.
Let's have a look. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Avashant's here. All right, Avashant, I'm going to give you a chance. What would you do in this situation?
Obviously, I do my scan first, and then notice that I've got 5 or 7 players on the court. I think could I give
Delay?
maybe give a sanction, yellow delay warning because they're not ready to play? Because I haven't blown my whistle to serve yet, right? I'm ready to whistle, and I've noticed that I've got the incorrect amount of players on court. So maybe give a time delay.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure either, but that's what I'm leaning towards.
That's a very good line of thinking. I like where that's going. Let's actually have a look. So it's a bit of a read, but the first referee should whistle for service when he or she is sure that the teams are ready to play and that the server is in possession of the ball. There must always be 6 players per team in play. So if there's 5 or 7, we actually can't whistle to serve. Now, because the first referee has noticed a mistake before they whistle for service, he or she must award a delay sanction to the team at fault. The next team to serve depends on the type of delay sanction. Obviously, if it's a delay warning or delay penalty, that can change which team is serving. But if the first referee still whistled for service when there were 5 or 7 players on the court, they must stop the rally immediately and replay without any sanction. If the situation is discovered after the end of the next rally, the result of the rally should be cancelled and replayed without any sanction. And if nobody discovered the situation or did so after the start of the next rally, the rally played with 5 or 7 players of the team cannot be replayed. So it comes down to when have you noticed it? Have I noticed it right before I'm about to whistle? Because then you can give a delay sanction. Have we noticed it during the rally? Because then we have to stop the rally and replay, but there's no sanction given. Or if it's after the rally's been completed, then we still replay, but still no sanction given. So well done, Avashant, on thinking of delay sanctions. But that is the way that we go forward. All right. Next one. A player jumped into the air over the advertising panels, trying to retrieve the ball near the spectator seats on his own side of the net. After contacting the ball, he landed in the seats. Is this a legal action? Who should I pick on? Ooh. I'm going to pick on... Ooh, there's a lot of people here tonight. Let's go with Chenzi. I believe you're here. What?
Yeah, I feel like the spectator seats is not considering as like playing zone. But by the time he contacting the ball, he's still in like the air. So I think it's a legal action. Just for as I remember, like watching a lot of like international, it's like the players went out of the playing zone to get some like crazy safe back. Considering as a spectacular play, I think I wouldn't call this as a fault.
So it is a legal play. So outside of his or her own side of the free zone. So if it was the opposing team's free zone, it's a different story. But a player is allowed to play to the ball and even take support to hit the ball. So they could actually be standard in the spectator zone and still be able to play it without it being a fault. This would include his or her own team bench since it's outside the free zone. same action is forbidden on the opponent's side of the net. And this is kind of an adaptation of the new rule that only on when the first hit goes to the opponent's space, you still can't go up into the crowd and try and retrieve it. Once it's crossed, it's into the opponent's space, it can't be retrieved. But well done, Chenzu. I like your thinking. And yes, you do see it a lot at that V&L level where the players are jumping over the banners and into their own benches and retrieving balls. But it's the same thing for our SVL youth champs. I think youth champs might be a little different because they might have some hard walls. Yes, George. I see you.
Sorry, thanks, Jayden. Just to add to that last one, I believe that if the ball is, you can also play the ball in the opponent free zone above the scorer's table, if the scorer's table happens to be there. So scorer's table, any side of the scorer's table, whether your side or the opponent's side, you still can.
Yep.
But besides that, you are 100% correct. Yes, you can't play it outside the free zone of the opponent.
Thank you very much, George.
Scorer's table is considered outside the free zone. Usually
Yes.
It should be outside the free zone. So if it's still above the scorer's tables on the opponent's side, it's still it could be legally played. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, George, for the insight. It's good. Even George coming in is always helpful. All right, next scenario. A ball went off the blocker A's head over the antenna into the free zone of B. A player of A, so just another player on team A, pursued the ball to play it back to his side of the net. Is it possible to play it back like this? I'm going to pick on... Let's go with Jeremy. If you are attentive. Is it possible to play this ball back once it's bounced off the blocker's head and gone over the antenna? Can he play it back? Is Jeremy around? If not, I might throw it to Jenny Atkinson. You are here. Would you allow this play to happen in one of your matches?
I knew you'd do that to me. I'm not 100. I knew you'd do that to me. I'm not 100% sure, but my view would be that if the player of A can bring it back outside the antenna, it would be okay.
Okay.
If a player of A can pursue the ball and play it back outside the antenna, back to their side, it would be okay, but I'm really not sure.
So, yes, the ball passed over the antenna. So
Yay for me.
So it is outside the crossing space.
Yep.
Into the opponent's free zone, partially through the external space. Therefore, it was legal for Team A to return the ball to its own court through the external space on the side of the court. Line judges should not signal while the ball moves in this way until the moment it is finally out of play. So well done, Jenny. Your thought process was correct. But it's good to think through it. Thinking about where's the ball cross, what are the rules, particularly with some of these new rules about crossing space, external space. But it's good that we're thinking down the correct track. All right, next scenario. Moving into some substitution scenarios. So Team A attempted to make a substitution, but this was rejected because the incoming player was not ready to play. As a consequence, the team was issued with a delay warning. The next rally started, but was interrupted when an inerrant ball entered the court. Team A immediately tried to make the same substitution before play restarted. The referees refused to accept the substitution. Were they correct to do so? Ooh, who can I pick on? Let's go with Eden. If you are willing, do you think the referees made the correct decision in this scenario? Jenny's giving a thumbs up. Yep, that's fine, Eden. Just put it in the chat and do we think the referees made the correct decision? It's always good. Just think it through. And remember, there is no one's going to. Oh, here we go. I think that the referees are correct because I think especially that you can only make a sub once the rally has ended. All right. Let's see. So yes, the referees were correct. The team may not make another request for a regular game interruption, substitution or timeout, till the interrupted rally is completed, i.e. until a point is awarded. It's very good, Eden. And it's a good thing for us to remember that when we do replay points, particularly at these bigger events, that teams don't try and do a little sneaky and get some extra substitutions in there when they're not supposed to. So it's good to remind ourselves of these situations. All right. Player number 7 of Team A was found to be on the court when he should have been on the bench. Team A had used the allowable 6 team substitutions, so that's international rules. They only get 6 subs. Since there were no legal substitutions remaining, what was the proper procedure to be used by the officials? So I guess in a more SVL kind of terms, they've used, instead of their 6 subs, let's say they've used their 12 subs. So they've used all 12 subs, and this player's on the court. What should, as the officials, do? Crisanto, I'm going to ask you for your...
Oh, you're giving me the complicated one.
Yeah, you've got to mix it up. Can't just give everyone the easy ones.
No, absolutely. So basically, this is the case of an illegal player being on the court. So the first one would be a point of service for the other team, for that out of rotation, essentially. The number 7 player should be taken off and replaced by the correct player. And then any points that was scored by that number 7 player or within that team when that number 7 player was playing is reverted back. And that's pretty much it that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things. All right. So since Team A had incorrect lineup, which was caused by an illegal substitution, the procedure given in Rule 15.9.2 should be followed. So obviously, point and service to Team B. They win a point. The substitution must be rectified. So they have to come off the court and the correct person goes on the court. Obviously, that does not count as one of the substitutions. All points scored by Team A whilst number 7 was in the game illegally must be cancelled, but the score of the opponent's team will remain as it is. and then there is no further penalty for Team A. Yes, Daniel, they could complain that, but fortunately, rules are rules, because I would say, to round the example out a bit more, say they took a timeout and the number 7 thought that he was on court. It's still the team's fault that number 7 walked onto the court after the timeout compared to, say, number 11. So the teams have to still be accountable for the people that are on the court and playing. It's our job to try and minimize the amount of damage by their mistake. So if we pick up the illegal player on court, hopefully straight away or a point or two later, so that they go, oh, it's only 2 points, not 15 or 20 points, as I have experienced in some cases. But it's still the team's fault for that player being on the court when they're not supposed to. So they have to own that mistake. Well, that is a very good question, Isaac. So how would you cancel points on the score sheet? First and foremost, you have to remark what has happened in this on the score sheet, and there's no pretty way, to be completely honest. For me, I just got to make sure I say this correct. Maybe George might be able to help me on this one, because it's been a while since I've had to cancel points on a score sheet. But you would, because of their current rotation, they would lose that point. So in that box, you write what their new score is. So say they lost 3 points, you would minus the 3 points and write in what their new, in the service order, what that score was or has become. And then I would then, from the points moving forwards, you then double cross. So every number has like an X on it compared to just a single dash. And then remark the situation and what's gone on from that point. At least that's what I would do. But it's been a while since, as a scorer, I've had to cancel points. So maybe I might throw it to Sam or George what correct procedure would be.
I'm no different to you, Jayden. I kind of agree with that. I guess the one other point is, if you have a good assistant scorer, then you guys can be more on top of what the actual score should be. But there's no really pretty way once you've already crossed them off. You can X them again, or you just got to sort of hope and keep track, right? And it's, attention, communication, remarking it in the remarks box is definitely important, so we know what's happened there. Don't recircle the numbers to recross them out, because the circles are penalty points. You don't want to do that. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but good luck if it does.
I have a question actually. For the point awarded to Team B, is that point circled or just crossed out?
It's just crossed, because it's not a penalty point. It's just they've just received a point because of the illegal thing. Daniel's asked, what if there was a substitution remaining? So this one, it clearly, as it states, it doesn't count as a regular substitution. So if they say they only used 10 subs and the wrong player walked on, we're just getting the correct person back on court, so they still have 2 more substitutions for the team to make. They don't lose substitutions because of this scenario. We just got to get the correct player back on court, because that's the penalty in itself, apparently, by losing points and giving the team another point. So it's the best way I can word it for you, Daniel.
Jayden, I have a question. I'm going to just say it out loud if that's okay.
Go for it.
In terms of working out when it happened, I've never been in this situation before where I've actually had to try to work back when the incorrect player came on or when, a team got out of rotation. And other than going back to, I guess, when that player was last supposed to serve and knowing that either the right person served or the wrong person served, like what can you actually do to work out when an error's happened like this? Because I'm especially thinking of the example you were saying of like if they go to a timeout and then just the wrong player comes back on, it's I guess tricky to know when that's happened.
So this is where, unfortunately for SVL and using the 12 sub rule, it is a lot more difficult, and that's where catching it early is the best way to work it out. If we've just recently done a timeout and it's 2 rallies have gone and then we've noticed it, we then can go, well, we just took a timeout. So that's where we'll take you back to timeout. On a proper 6 sub score sheet, when you record a substitution, you write down what the score is from when they made that substitution. So we can at least know which point were they taken off court. And then you can then hopefully, with that information and when they took timeouts, you might be able to track it when they re-entered the court illegally. But to be completely honest, there is no easy way of taking their score back.
So does it just become like a best guess sometimes? No. Or like you have to just determine like, what if you can't at all work out when they came on illegally?
I usually, in that scenario where I can't determine when, we can't determine when they entered the court, because say, no timeouts were used, they've just walked on there for some reason, and we can't work it out then, I would the other team still receives the point and serve. We put the correct person on the court, and then we have to continue play from there, because we can't cancel points if we don't know that player was or was not on the court or not. If we can't track it, we can't penalize them for it, which is an unfortunate reality. Particularly in the heat of an SVL game, team goes, oh, well, we could go through a live stream and this and that. It unfortunately takes too long because we want the games going as quick as possible. So I usually just fix it. Other team gets the point and serve, make sure they're in the correct rotation, and then continue on to there. Unless I know for sure, or teams we can, it's only been 2 or 3 points, we take off 2 or 3 points. Or there's a clear blunder, the wrong person took the court at the very start of the set, and they've gone to do a sub with that player, and they go, well, hold up, they're not even on the court. Then you can take them back to the very start, but most times you're just continuing on. Yes, Sam?
So my question to you, Jayden, is in the earlier example, incorrect information was given, so it all got reversed back to them. Here, it's the wrong person, so they lose all their points. Mm-hmm. So when the second referee checks the lineup and they miss that the wrong player was on, which way does that go?
You like making this hard.
Yeah, I put on purpose. Yeah.
So I would, in that scenario, I would still go back to, if the referee has made a mistake, we can't restart the whole set, I don't think. Because going back to the early example, you go back to when the error or information was given, and then we restart from there.
I guess my question is the second referee not checking properly, does that count as incorrect information given, or is it the team's fault for having the wrong player on court?
I personally view that as the team has put the wrong person on the court.
So they will lose all their points.
Yes. Because it's still up to the team to make sure that everyone goes on the court and in their right positions. That's how I view it.
I view it the same. Maybe George can overrule us. It's just interesting because that's sort of like in between those two scenarios.
Yeah.
One says it's the referee's mistake and incorrect information, so let's go back. And this one is the wrong player, and the second referee checking the lineup is kind of like the halfway. So it's
Yeah.
in the case, I think.
Okay.
Does George have any information he wants to add or help guide us through this scenario?
Look, it's always, like you said earlier, it's got to be the team's responsibility to make sure everything and everyone is in the correct position. So you can't blame the referees for missing. So referees, it's unfortunate when the referees miss it, because that's got to be plan B, right? So that's got to be the backup plan if plan A of putting the correct people on fails. But at the same token, it's just you can't blame the referees. That would be my take.
So hopefully we have answered your question, Maggie. But
Yes, that was a really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad we could help. All right. Any other questions on this scenario? Because it's one that occurs more often than some of the other ones, and ones who are going to youth champs or other future national events. It's one that you may see pop up more often. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, gone. All right. The coach of A stood up at the end of a rally and waved his arm in a manner that suggests disgust with the referee's decision. I'm sure we all have experienced this in some way. Is this allowed? Who am I going to pick on? You know what? Let's pick on Maggie, seeing as she asked the question. I think it's certainly fair.
Sure. I feel like this is one of those situations that it depends on exactly what was done and I guess the extent of the behavior, like whether it falls under the sort of just give them a look to calm down kind of scale, or whether it's actually, showing, what's the word? Like it becomes misconduct or rude conduct that then you would need to use cards. So yes, I think it would depend on like exactly how the behavior, like exactly what it was.
Yeah. I would, when you read through the example, the coach of A stood up at the end of a rally and waved his arms in a manner that suggests disgust with the referee's decision. So the fact the coach was seated and then he's now stood up and waved his arms in a manner. In your thinking, where would you see that on? Do you need to just have a chat? Do you want to give a misconduct sanction? Like, where do you view, just as it's described?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really pegged the fact of standing up means was sitting down beforehand and has then done that. I think in that situation, to me, that's probably at least a yellow card. Just because if it is like going from seated and calm to standing and waving arms, that's probably into that kind of scale, at least.
Okay. So the ruling is the coach should be allowed to express certain normal responses, and the referee should just calm down him or her without any further consequences. But if the response is judged to be minor misconduct, reaching the stage 2 level, the coach should be warned by the first referee by use of a yellow card. If repeated, we should be penalised with a red card for rude conduct. So you're down the right thought process. It's looking at, is this a more, like, they are allowed to express their feelings a little bit, but it's judging, have they gone to minor misconduct yet? Or have they not? And that's can only be judged by the first referee, and there's no clear in these, like, oh, he stood up, instant yellow. That's not the case. You've got to look at the whole picture, context of the game. Was it in their eyes, was it a crucial point? You've got to take all these different variables in consideration and then make a judgment on, have they gone into minor misconduct? Or do I just need to give him a little toot, hey, just calm it down? Or do I need to call the captain over and tell him he needs to really calm down before he does go into the minor misconduct sanction scale? So but just as you got to look at the whole picture. What did they do? How did they express themselves? Is that something that we need to manage, or is it something that we can just kind of let go? So good response, Maggie. Good thought process, thinking about the whole thing. It's not just a straight yellow. There's other parts to it. So, and as you can see with the rules, there's 4 different rules about that one topic for you to read up on if you want to dive in there. All right. In set 3, team scores are 9-7. Team with 7 points is suddenly found to have 2 number 11s on court. Apparently, one player played sets 1 and 2 with number 10 as legally registered and recorded on the score sheet. But when she changed her wet jersey or uniform shirt between sets 2 and 3, she mistakenly put on number 11. Neither player had served during set 3. The first referee instructed the player to change to her original number and awarded a delay sanction against the team. Was this the correct action by the first referee? Now, this is a very interesting case. So I'm going to... I did see Justin in there, but I think he's disappeared on us. So I'm going to give this one to Sam because it is a very strange case. And I want to see what Sam would do in this situation.
I thought you weren't going to ask maybe I'm not as experienced as I think.
No, I just think it's just changing it up, giving you probably one of the more difficult scenarios that I think some of us may not even realize or would know what to do.
I think for starters, the second ref didn't check the lineup properly in this case. But besides that, it was the intended player and the right number that was on the lineup sheet, and it's the right person. So by all intents and purposes, I don't think they should be sanctioned. Changing the shirt and then delay seems like a reasonable and pragmatic thing to do. So I would say yes, it's correct. Putting my credibility on the line here.
So yes, the referee was correct. So both the scorer and second referee should have noticed before the start of the set that there were 2 number 11s and should have corrected the situation at that moment. In this unusual situation, not exactly covered in the rules, the first referee has the power to decide such matters. So, however, as the player was legally registered on the score sheet and was actually on the lineup sheet with the correct number as number 10, Rule 7 cannot apply here. So for those who know Rule 7, I don't remember that rule, to be honest. I should have. But it doesn't apply. I think Rule 7's eligible player, I think, from memory. So hence the first referee was correct not to deduct points from the team, as the team was responsible, at least in part, for the match being interrupted. A delay sanction was correctly applied, and the player should play on with the correct uniform number. The match should continue with the scores as they were at the moment the error was discovered. In summary, 23.2.3, he or she has the power to decide any matters involving the game, including those not provided for in the rules. So the change of the uniform back to the correct number and to charge the team for the delay. So I guess that's a good case of when the rules don't actually have this specific scenario listed and the penalties applied, as referees, we have to think about what is fair to both teams. So they listed the correct intentional player who's registered on the score sheet, but due to a minor error, because they wanted to change their jerseys because they were wet, they accidentally put on number 11, and our referee team missed the initial error at the start of the set. So that's going back to that, I guess, that similar point where wrong information was given. We didn't pick it up. And so there was no harsh penalty applied to the teams because they were allowed to change the jersey back. There was no substitutions made. And all they received was a delay sanction for delaying the game, which if I'm the team, and in that scenario, all I receive is a delay sanction, I'm pretty happy compared to potentially losing all my points because the wrong player, or we had two number 11s on the court and having to restart a set.
That's good. Can I just add, it's interesting that the case says both the scorer and the secondary should have noticed. So, I think it's overlooked sometimes that the scorer's job as well can be to check the starting lineup along with the second referee. So it's not just solely, even though I like to blame the second referee, it's actually a joint responsibility. So just to note that, that's interesting.
So Isaac's got a question. What if they wore a jersey number that was not already on the team? What would you do on the score sheet? All right, Sam, what would you do?
If they were a jersey number that was not already on the team, what would you do on the score sheet? I think it doesn't change this because the number's not listed on the score sheet. The player's listed as number 10 or whatever. But, if it was a case where blood spilled on one of their shirts and the only possible shirt they had was a different unused number, then it depends on the competition regulations. But generally at SBL, you can just remark player number thing, change their jersey number to this because of blood or whatever. I guess that's what I would do. So, yeah.
I think it's the exact same scenario. We just change it back to the correct number, regardless if it's one listed or not, because it's more of, is it that player that was supposed to take the court? And if it's still the same player that was supposed to take the court, they're just wearing incorrect uniform, we can fix that in a very quick manner, and then give a delay. Or if you do it really quick, or if you do it at the start of the set, maybe it's not even a delay because we understand they just picked the wrong jersey out of the pile. But it's more of they still wanted that player to take the court at the right time.
Sorry, guys, can I just jump in here? It seems like a scenario I've come across a couple of times. Just so I get it right, so you're saying a player was playing, but let's say number 2, you said, but number 2 doesn't exist on the roster.
So it was number 10. They changed their shirts because it was wet, and they've accidentally grabbed the same number.
No, sorry, Jayden, I'm talking about the second scenario you suggested.
Oh, so the second scenario.
Yes.
So say they grabbed number 20, but number 20 isn't listed on the team list at all. So there is no,
Okay.
like, they've got a number 20 in their uniform, but it's not actually listed on the score sheet.
Okay. Tricky one. Because realistically, if any player, if there's anyone on the court with a number that's not listed on the list, that's an infringement usually, and it's a point and serve, and they lose all the points that particular person played. But in this instance, it's not a mistaken identity because as you're saying, it's the same person. We know that person.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a matter of recognizing the players.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah. No. It's all good. Any other questions about the scenario before we move on? Right. So, I guess before we get into the Q&A, I want to reiterate the point on Casebook has got lots of different situations or questions about the whole game in general. And they're categorized in the different areas. So, for instance, I just went through, so like there were substitution ones, there are rotational ones, there's a whole bunch about timeouts, player conduct, and it's a book that's listed with a bunch of different scenarios. Some cases, they happened in real life and they tell you, as you saw in those examples there. Sometimes they just ask the question, what would you do in this scenario? And it then tells you what should happen or what is the correct use of the rules. So it is a resource that I think I personally didn't really use a lot when I first started. I was more of, when the weird scenarios come up to me, I'll just make a judgment and then find out if I got it right or wrong. But it is a resource to preempt issues that could happen on the court. Test yourself in your own knowledge. Ask someone to pull out random cases from the casebook, or to come up to your chief referees, your referee coaches, delegates, and ask them about these scenarios. And scenarios you have in your own game. It's not, because we're all at different parts in our journey. But the casebook is a resource that I definitely underutilized in my early stages of my refereeing. Because if you understand and apply the rules correctly, then you progress faster. And the casebook is a good way to see the scenarios and possibilities that could happen, and then know what rules we should be applying. So definitely something to 100% read up on. If you haven't, please do. It can look a bit daunting, but the good thing about the new modern day is some of them actually have videos going with the cases. So some people can't visualize the scenarios, but some of them actually have videos with them, so they actually can show you what happened. But it's all on the casebook on the FIVB website. It wasn't that hard to find it. You just go to where you find the latest rulebook, and it was on that page, I believe. So it's definitely a great resource to use. So is there any other questions about, one, the casebook in general, but is there any scenarios that people want clarification on that happens in their game? Because we're a large community, and we can be essentially our own casebook filled with different scenarios, and as a group we can try and get to the correct answer or the correct use of the rules. So is there any other questions or situations people have occurred in their refereeing career that they would like knowledge on? Mimu's got one.
Hi, Jayden. So if a libero sets the ball with their fingers in the front zone, but like one of their foot is, how do I describe this? Is like over the attack line, but the other one is behind, so it's in the back court, in the back zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. And then when he contacts the ball, he lifts the foot that is in front of the attack line off the ground, so that his other foot is like in the back, completely behind the attack line.
Yep.
Yep. And then the person who attacks the ball contacts the ball fully, when the ball is fully above the height of the net. Is that an attack hit fault?
So, with my knowledge and experience, that is still an attack hit fault, because it's the same as positional faults. It goes from where the feet took off from. So because that front foot was still inside the attack zone, just because they've raised the foot off, that foot was still inside the attack zone. So they're classed as still inside the front zone. So by overhand finger passing or setting the ball, and then the player attacking from completely above the height of the net, that is still an illegal attack hit, in my opinion.
Okay. And if he jumped in the front zone, but when he contacted the ball, he wasn't like touching the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yep. So he's jumped now. So now we've gone from him just raising his foot, but he's now still jumped from with one foot in the front zone and one foot in the back court.
Yeah.
It is still the same scenario, because his feet one was still inside the front or the attack, in front of the attack line. And just because he's jumped, his feet are still classed as in front of the attack line.
So it's like about his last contact kind of thing?
It's about where both feet were last on the floor.
Okay.
So if any of those 2 feet are in front of the attack line, he's classed as in the front zone.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's actually a case and a video in the casebook for that.
There you go. Yes, Avashant.
My question sort of goes along with Mimu's one, but would it be the same scenario for if a player is serving? So if they have a foot on the line, but as they serve, they take that foot off the line, is that also considered like a fault?
Yes. So it's the
It
rules
works the same.
Yeah, same principle.
sort of
They
thing,
have to take off from completely behind the line.
Yeah.
To serve the ball. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions, scenarios that people would like to seek knowledge, wisdom upon?
Yeah, I have one, Jayden.
No.
Actually have
no.
one in my
Here we
pen.
go. Tuck us up.
I would be interested in what people think. So, on the third hit of the ball, the player was digging the ball over the net.
Mm-hmm.
It was becoming very tight to the net. The player on the blocking team went up to try and hit the ball. And the player on the attacking team tried to go up and block their hit, but they touched the ball at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a legal block or is it 4 hits?
I personally view that as a legal block, because the ball, regardless, because it's third hit, and if you've deemed them both truly simultaneously touching the ball, therefore it's like you're saying neither the block or the attacking team has touched it first, so it's true simultaneous. The count essentially resets, in my view. So it's still, it would be a block touch and then play continues regardless which way the ball goes.
Thanks. That's what I deemed as well. But it was an interesting case because you could kind of argue that because the blocker touched it as well, you might think it's 4 hits. But
Yes.
it's one of those rare edge cases where I feel like it's very because blocking is allowed to be simultaneous with the attack hit now. So it kind of depends whether that player was truly blocking or blocking action or was actually trying to attack the ball themselves. So I don't know. It was a very unique situation that came up that I hadn't come across before.
I do like George's, and I think I got it from George, where when you dive into actually blocking, you're intercepting the ball coming from the opponent's space. So therefore, if Team A, it's their third touch and it's going on top of the net, and then their teammate jumped up and you deemed that they've blocked the ball, they can't block the ball because it's not come from their opponent's space. So therefore, if you see them touch it first, 4 hits. If you see the block touch it first, then it's a block because they're intercepting the ball coming from their opponent's space. So then that's a legal block. And then by them hitting it into that team, you could then say, well, they've now intercepted the ball coming from that team. So then that's now a legal block. But then if it's true simultaneous contact, so they've both hit it at exactly the same moment, they cancel each other out, and it's just play continues with 3 contacts for either team, depending on where the ball goes. Isaac has a question in the chat. He's confused with calling balls out versus touch out in the case where the player touches the ball, but it goes out the crossing space. Is that out or touch out? Okay, so let me try and visualize. So you have to correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac. So players hit the ball into a block. It then goes through the crossing space and lands out. So if this is hitting team, blocking team, hits block, still goes back on this side but lands out, that scenario is just out. If it hits block, stays on this side, that would be touch out.
I think what he's saying is, say a player digs a ball and shanks it, and it goes outside the crossing space and out that way. Is it out or touch out?
Okay, so in that scenario, if you imagine the plane of the net, I guess it'd still be classed as out because so if you imagine the plane of the net extends the entirety of the whole free zone, if the ball stays on the team's own side, it's still touch out unless it hits an object outside the free zone. It's then just point wave or out. But then if it's crossed over your imaginary plane of the net, it's then just out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so if you imagine the net just extends all the way across the court, if it still stays on their side, it's touch out. But if it recrosses the plane of the net but outside the antenna, it's just out. If that makes sense for you, Isaac. Thumbs up. Sweet. All right, Avishant.
Yeah, I had a question about the antenna. So obviously, if the ball touches the antenna, I know that's out. But if a player touches the antenna as well, is the point awarded to the opposite team as well? It is, right?
Correct. So if the player has touched the antenna it's the same as touching the net inside the antennas. So if they touch the antenna, they lose the point.
So is the call for it like a net touch or out?
That is a good question. Trying to think. I think it's still a net touch. Or the signal is still of the net touch.
Right.
I believe. Sam and George, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's still the signals of the net touch.
I thought it was similar to ball out.
Sorry, player touching the antenna.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out, and you point at the player.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Well,
there you go, Sean. All right, Mimu.
So while a person is serving, one of the spectators like shouts really loudly. I know maybe he's trying to disrupt the server. What would I do if I was the first referee?
Ooh. So I'm going to pass this on to Rachel because she hasn't said anything all night. What would you do, Rachel?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
So while the server is serving, one of the spectators shouts really loudly, and then maybe he's trying to distract the server, or I don't know. So what would I do as a first referee?
Call Jayden over. I would probably call the chief referee over, or get someone from venue. I mean, like comp management, because spectators are kind of outside our jurisdiction, but they can, like the chief referee can either talk to the spectator, or maybe the comp management can talk to the spectator and manage them that way.
If they miss the serve, or the serve like went faulty, right? Would I replay, or would I do anything, or would I just continue?
Just continue, unfortunately, I think. Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time, probably in international matches, but on a bigger scale, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I guess an extension to that question is, what if it was 200 people yelling at the same time? That's the question.
I personally, there's not a lot we can do. 200 Jaydens, yeah. Because they're outside of our, as Rachel said, they're outside of our jurisdiction. I would personally think, as long as it's not aggressive or rude towards the players directly, like, or derogatory in any way, there's not a lot we can do. But if it does head down that line, the only thing is report it to your chief referee or the comp manager, and they will have to try and manage it because it's more in their jurisdiction in that sense. But there's nothing, we can't just point to the spectator and give them a yellow card or something and send them out. Like, we can't do any of that. We can only report it to competition managers or chief referees for SVL's case, and then let them handle it going forward. Any other questions, scenarios, situations? Silence speaks wonders sometimes. All right, so I guess that is pretty much it for tonight and for our development series through August, the greatest month that August is. I hope you all have enjoyed diving into the casebook, gaining a deeper understanding of how to use it in your own development, or how to use it to test others in a nice, appropriate setting. But I can't reiterate the point that it is a resource that we should definitely, as referees, be constantly looking back upon. Self-testing, putting yourself in those scenarios and what you would do, or just seeking guidance from it, because it does have a lot of good information and is very clear in its wording. So it's another good resource for if you're trying to practice what to say to captains about the situations. It's very clear in its wording, and you can almost repeat that wording because it's directly out of the rule books. And so then let's thank you all. I'll hand it over to Sam if he's got any last remarks.
Well, thank you, Jayden. That was really interesting, and it's always good to bring out scenarios that people have and questions. It's only by asking and getting other opinions that we can all sort of have our big pool of advice and thoughts, and together we learn and grow together, right? That's the whole point. But to everyone, I hope you've enjoyed the series, 8 sessions in total. So for those who made majority or all of them, thank you, and I'm sure that you at least got a few things out of it that will help you to grow in your game. We'll be putting all these sessions, all 8 of them, online very shortly, so that they can be a resource to go back and listen to and revise as well. So I think that would be very good. And I also want to thank all of our presenters. We're blessed in New South Wales to have a variety of experienced referees, and we had 8 different people presenting, giving their experiences and perspectives, and that was really good to do. And it doesn't matter what level or stage you are, there's always someone you can help along the way, and there's always people you can look to for guidance and advice as well. That's what we're all here for. And everyone going to AYVC, best of luck. Have a great tournament. Enjoy it. And thank you all for joining.